All right, Jill, this is Monday Midnight. I'm representing NAIJA United as well as Zero Tolerance Television in Belgium. And I am so thrilled to be sitting right here with one of the most outstanding musicians from Nigeria, FEMI KUTI.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. We're talking just a little bit about a few things with you, And since we are right here on the international stage, I'm going to go and just hit you straight up with a question having to do with how you started your international performances. Because there are conflicting reports out there. One that says that the genesis of your international career started when your father, the huge fella Kuti, was supposed to perform in Los Angeles in 1985, but unfortunately could not make it down, and you had to step in and save the day. And there's another report that says that the French Cultural Center.
No, that's correct.
That's the correct one.
Yeah.
And the other one is not correct.
It could be correct as well, but that was the first time I realized the magnitude of my career and what I would have to do if anything happened to my father, or to understand that whole big story. That was it was such a big deal. Hollywood Bowl, my father couldn't come. He called from Lagos, he's under arrest, you have to lead the band from now. And I was like, impossible, I'm not ready. You have to, and it was a cut off the phone.
But that must be a shock for you, right?
Yes, I was scared silly. I was shaking like a leaf, I was scared.
Yeah, but
Hollywood Bowl, phew.
Exactly.
2,000 people, I was not ready at all.
Hey, but you thrilled the crowd and everybody was on their feet.
Yeah, it went well, but I was still scared. But it opened so much. It opened my mind, it opened so much for me that I became so aware of the challenge, of the work I had to do. And then, when I left my father, the French Cultural Center, which is a story other people now know, gave me my break with my band, The Positive Force.
All right.
So I left my father, and then I said in Lagos, everybody was so angry I left my father, blah, blah, blah. They couldn't understand what I was doing. But then if this guy comes from France and says he wants to take a band to France, he comes, he sees my band, he says, okay, I'm taking this band. And that was the break.
That was Christian Mosaic, or something like that. Yes. All right. Oh, well, absolutely.
So both stories could be right.
Yeah, but the first one is and that's a better story too. Imagine stepping in where you think you're not ready, but you step in and you save the day, and everybody will thrilled. Yes. I mean, that's a grand story right there. All right. Your family in Nigeria has been on the forefront of the emancipation movement, the progressive emancipation movement of Nigeria and the whole of Africa, for such a long time. The 3 generations now, your grandfather, your grandmother, your father, and now you, propelling the emancipation of, of Africans, Nigerians in particular. So for all through 3 generations, you have been doing this. Yes. What impact do you think your family have been able to have on the collective consciousness of the people of Nigeria and Africa as a whole?
I think if we have any form of human rights activity in Nigeria, it's because of my family. If we have any kind of bravery or awareness of their rights, it's because of my father. If people are not scared to speak out today, it's because of my father. If Amnesty International focuses on Nigeria today, it's because of my father. If the youths are so, there's nobody in Nigeria especially, you call the name Fela Kuti, everybody knows the story.
Absolutely.
That's because of the struggle from my grandmother, my grandfather, my father, and hopefully what I'm doing as well.
Okay. And in moving forward, why do you think, though, that you know, over the years, the situation of Nigeria prevails. You know, the corruption, the looting, the outright, you know, denigration of the society. You know, in many facets of it. You know,
because Africans have failed to understand the gravity of 500 years of slavery. And when we talk about that story, we just take it with a pinch of salt. And we like to just take the story from the top of the story, we sold ourselves. That's not the fact of the story. And we have not learned to appreciate 500 years of slavery. That is like 6, 7 generations. Crying, children losing their lives, women running. The whole continent was in pandemonium. In 1885, Europe comes, divides Africa, and the Germans take their share, Belgium takes its share, France, England. We have not appreciated how Europe sat down, cut Africa up. Then don't forget we had Asia, the Arabs, with their own wars from coming from North Africa, taking over Egypt, Ethiopia, and all these countries. It was Africa suffered so much wars and then our little internal conflicts. When you have all these stories, and then we come out and we have 100 years of colonial rule, then we have 50, 60 years of Europe dictating who should be president or run African countries. So when a government like Lumumba comes up, he's eliminated. And we have facts that Lumumba was eliminated by Britain, Belgium, France,
and the
United States and the United Nations. And it's not hearsay. There is document to prove it. African leaders haven't come to sit at the United Nations say, we're not moving forward until we have justice for Lumumba's death. So, because they're also corrupt, they don't want to address Lumumba, who at his prime could have, God knows what will have done for the Congo, Central Africa and Congo region at that time. So these are things that we have failed to appreciate as a people. And Europe have always supported corrupt governments like Obasanjo, the military in Nigeria, Babangida, just so they could get the resources. They have, look at what happened in Rwanda. Belgium and all of them were there. They saw the genocide coming. And we are hearing reports today that they were part and parcel of encouraging that conflict to happen. And when it starts, they pull out. Where they could have stood with the United Nations and stopped the warring parties from fighting, they pulled out. Let them kill themselves. It was a joyous moment for them. Look at what Clinton said. He said his biggest regret was not stopping the war in Somalia. Who cares if that was his biggest regret? He knew he had the opportunity to stop it. He didn't stop it. So America, Europe, they always enjoyed these conflicts because then they could get the diamonds free, they could get the whatever resources we are talking about in whichever African country we are talking about. All they had to do was call their puppets in Africa. Oh, we'll give you a house in France, and oh, give us, and they did the business. Oh, we'll give you a reward, Mugabe, and they knight him in England or somewhere like this. And these Africans, because they are the leaders of these Africans, had no vision. They were very low-minded Africans. They were very selfish people. They didn't care about their people. They didn't think about the future of the children. So, of course, Africa has to be in the situation it is today. Now we have to respect the fact that individually, Africans are doing well. We have great surgeons, we have great doctors, we have great musicians, we have great athletes, we have... Individually, we are doing great teachers, collectively, which is where it matters. Because if we do get it right collectively, then Europe will have to start to discuss with us one-on-one, not master-slave relationship. They'll have to deal with us as beings like themselves, not dominating and saying, no, you have to do this or else you don't get this. What happens now is American Europe dictates to Africa how Africa should live its life, which is wrong. So, but what we should have is, you should be able to drive your car from Lagos to Johannesburg. Look at Belgium. You can drive from Belgium to anywhere in Europe. You can drive from France to anywhere in Europe. And don't talk of the United States. You have to be envious of their roads, for God's sake.
I know.